Then finally, like to start with, we thought the Startup India registration, or like how does it work, or what is that scheme? Because I believe in the startup fraternity, one of the most spoken about schemes is Startup India. Most of the times, like Prime Minister promoting it, or Ministry of Corporate Affairs promoting it, or in various events, in various international forums too. This buzzword is being used again and again. Startup India, Startup India. So we thought of throwing the light upon that particular scheme so that it will be beneficial for all the MSME enterprises which are viewing this webinar, as well as it helps us taking the business to the next level. So that's the intention of this particular program all about.
Right, Harsha. So if you can help us decode a little more, I mean, if you can help us know a little more about what the scheme actually is,
Sure.
because even in his Independence Day or Republic Day speeches, the Prime Minister mentions Startup India, Make in India initiative, and what has this got to do with marching towards the $5 trillion economy?
Yes. So the goal is very clear. I mean, in the Prime Minister's mind at least, the goal is very clear that we are marching towards $5 trillion economy. Let us leave it by, I mean, whether it is by 2025 or by 2030, let us leave it. But our goal is to march towards the $5 trillion economy. So in that particular direction, government has launched many initiatives to ease the business in India. I mean, ease of doing business in India is the primary objective of the government. In terms of that, they launched multiple initiatives. As you said, one is Make in India, which has become very popular. The second one, which impacted all the businesses, is GST. Third one, very recently, they reduced the tax rates. That also impacted a lot of companies, including the startups too. In that process, one of the schemes which was launched by the government to support young entrepreneurs, very young entrepreneurs who are just starting up out of their colleges, just coming out of their colleges and starting their businesses, to support those kind of people, to provide them world-class infrastructure or world-class mentorship support, especially for those kind of people. They started this particular scheme called Startup India in the year 2015, but officially it came out somewhere in 2016 April. So that's the scheme.
Right. So as I see a lot of participations kicking in, so I thought let's probably revisit this. Let's probably recapitulate on what we were touching upon. As I see a lot of participants joining the webinar now, I still have this entry open on until for the next 3 minutes. Let's see as we see around a lot. I mean, as we see a lot of participants kicking in. So if you can throw light on companies that have been more successful, if you can give me some examples of companies that have been more successful through registering in the Startup India scheme.
Okay. As such, we don't see any popular names because we might think of about Ola, Uber, Flipkart, etc. As such, we don't see such popular names on the Startup India scheme. The reason being they have a turnover cap. A company who has a maximum turnover of 100 crores alone can get into this particular Startup India scheme. But maybe, I mean, the startups are not into the light, or at least if I become successful, I may not say that this is because of Startup India. But yes, in a way, they are helping multiple thousands and lakhs of startups. There is no doubt in it. Yeah.
So is there any a record number of startups that have been registered?
It keeps changing. I mean, like the number is somewhere in lakhs. It's somewhere in 2 lakhs to 3 lakhs. I'm not sure, but the live number of registrations will be displayed on the Startup India portal. Every time when we open the homepage, in the homepage itself, they'll keep displaying the number of entities which are registered under the Startup India scheme for now.
Right. And I presume most of them are SMEs and MSMEs.
Yes.
And I see this is a very good platform for the SMEs and MSMEs in the GlobalLinker in the GlobalLinker community to register under Startup India and avail benefits. So if you could help us understand a little more, moving 2 steps ahead, I would like to understand, like you had mentioned, some basic eligibility criteria. If you can elaborate on the eligibility criteria for startups or for companies that are in Startup India to register under Startup India scheme, that will be really great.
Okay. So to register under the Startup India scheme, there is a separate dedicated portal for registering under the Startup India scheme. So we have provided. We'll be providing that Startup India website link as a part of the guide which we give after this webinar, because I don't want it to just say startupindia.gov.in, because when we Google it, many fake websites are coming in where they are charging unnecessary money too. So for that reason, a proper link has been provided in the guide, which will be circulated after this webinar. But apart from that, in the Startup India website, I mean, if one wants to register under the Startup India, there are certain eligibility criteria. One, it should be either a private limited company or a partnership firm or an LLP, or even a proprietorship is also allowed today. Then number two, the second eligibility is in terms of turnover. Your turnover should not be more than 100 crores. Third eligibility is in terms of your age of the enterprise. Age of the enterprise should not be more than 10 years. However, now the Startup India scheme is launched only in the year 2016, as I said. So the companies which are incorporated after April 1st, 2016 alone can get the tax benefits. Though rest of the enterprises which are less than 10 years old can register, but for the sake of tax benefits, only the people who got incorporated or who started their business after 1st of April 2016 can only get the tax benefits. So that's what is this like eligibility for the registration.
Right. So, in addition to the eligibility in Startup India, are there any other, you know, particular highlights that one should keep a track of? Other than the tax benefits, what I intend to say is, besides LLPs, besides partnership firms, besides private limited companies, can a one-person company be a part of Startup India?
Yes, one person company can also be part of Startup India because they clarified it very recently too. Again, though it was deemed that it is eligible, but they again clarified it and then they said yes, one person company can also get registered under the Startup India. So no need to worry. If you're starting alone without any partner with you, then even then you can get registered under the Startup India scheme.
Right. So I guess we we're good to begin, and we get to
Sure.
go ahead with the live session in the webinar. And with this, I leave this forum out to Mr. Harsha. Over to you, Mr. Harsha, and
Sure.
it's all
Thank
yours. Right.
Thank you, Sanjeev. So, out of the questions which we get very frequently, because we keep interacting with a lot of startups, out of the questions which we get very frequently, I'll try answering all the questions, which I come across very frequently. If there are any additional questions, you can keep posting it to us, and then we'll get those questions, and then we'll be trying answering it to you. And if you are not answering as a part of the webinar, definitely we will be answering all those queries by the end of the day today through an email too. So that's what I would want to say in the beginning. So I'll just take up certain questions which are regularly come up across the social media platforms and even across to us over the phone calls. So what is the Startup India scheme all about? As I said, this is for the purpose of supporting the startups. So supporting the startups in a sense, in what sense? So Startup India portal today, it provides a platform for all the people to unite together. So it provides a platform for investors to come and come and place their profile over there. It provides a platform for mentors to connect, and then it provides a platform for incubators. It provides a platform for angels to venture capitalists, for all types of investors. So for all these people, it's a common portal. Everybody can get registered and everybody can be part of that network, so that if someone wants to connect with someone, they can connect through that particular network. That's the idea behind this particular Startup India scheme. Then number two, the very frequent question which everybody will keep asking is, what is the difference between Startup India and Stand Up India? Are both the same? Are both the same is one particular question which comes across very frequently. So let me explain you the difference. Startup India is for all types of entrepreneurs. So basically, all young entrepreneurs or all the budding entrepreneurs can get registered under the Startup India. There is no specific criteria over there. But whereas Stand Up India scheme is only for SC entrepreneurs, ST entrepreneurs, as well as women entrepreneurs. Nobody else can get registered under the Stand Up India scheme. Stand Up India is for SC entrepreneurs, ST entrepreneurs, as well as the women entrepreneurs. So if a company wants to, so what is Startup India now? It's a sub-part of Startup India. Startup India is a wide scheme which is supporting everybody. Sub-part of the Startup India scheme is Stand Up India scheme. Under this particular Stand Up India scheme, SC, ST and women entrepreneurs can get the benefit. One of the primary conditions under the Stand Up India is the entity, in the entity, 51% shareholding should be of the woman entrepreneur or SC entrepreneur or ST entrepreneur. Only then it will be eligible for getting registered under Stand Up India. So once we get registered under Stand Up India, we can avail the loan to the extent of 10 lakhs to 1 crore. 10 lakhs to 1 crore is the slab within which government has sanctioned the loan for Stand Up India. That to the advantage over there is without collateral also we can get the loan under the Stand Up India scheme. So no need to worry about the collateral security which we need to keep for the loan, because Stand Up India scheme, many loans are being guaranteed by the government itself. So for that reason, no collateral specifically will be required. So that's one advantage over there in the Stand Up India scheme. Coming back to startup. So Startup India, there is no restriction SC, ST or women entrepreneurs. For everybody, it is an open platform. Only conditions are, number one, your turnover of the entity should be less than 100 crores. Number two, your entity should not be more than 10 years old. From the date of incorporation, you can claim to be startup only for 10 years from the date of incorporation. Number three, You have to be working in a particular industry either for developing the new product or improving the product, or either for providing a new service or improving the existing service, or either for initiating this existing process and improving that particular existing process. So you have to work with either product or service or with the process. You have to try improving it through innovation. So that's the idea behind this particular Startup India scheme.
Interesting. So as we go through, I'm sorry, I'll have to cut you short, but there are a few questions that are coming in. I'll be taking these questions,
Sure.
but we have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of the webinar. So we will be taking more questions around then. So just to bring, just as we were talking about eligibility criteria. So there's a question out here from Mr. Philip Baby. So I presume what he intends to ask is what happens if it is a service provider. If the business is a service provider, will he be eligible under Startup India?
Yes, even a service provider will also be eligible under Startup India scheme. But I'll explain you. I mean, though service provider is eligible, why there won't be tax benefits for him? Once you watch through this entire webinar, like you'll get to know why tax benefits will be very difficult for the service-based entity. So we'll answer that particular question.
Sure, sir, sure. And there's another question, like we had mentioned about, there were questions around turnover. So what, just like LLP, are there provisions for a private limited company for having audit-based turnover, like say about 40 lakhs?
No, I mean, see, for audit limits and all, it will be guided by the separate acts. But for Startup India purpose, you should not be more than 100 crores. As long as you are less than 100 crores, you can go and get registered. Earlier, it used to be a different limit. Earlier, it used to be 25 crore turnover limit. But now, 1 year back, they have increased that limit to 100 crores. Until you are like 100 crore company, you can get registered under the Startup India without any problem.
Right. So thank you, Mr. Harsha. So yeah, moving forward.
So moving forward, this is about registration for Startup India as well as registration for Startup India. But I wanted to throw more light on the registration again, because Startup India registration, like everybody has like I presume this is where people went wrong, because since Prime Minister keeps saying Startup India a lot, and then he keeps continuously saying with for startups we have provided tax benefits. I wanted to make it more clear that all registered startups will not get tax benefits. I repeat once again, all registered startups under Startup India doesn't get all the benefits of taxation. Let me explain. In Startup India scheme, there are two levels of registration. First one is DPIIT level. Then the second one is interministerial board level. First one, DPIIT level, there is no specific requirement. Once you satisfy these three conditions, you can make an application online. It will ask certain basic questions like, basic documents like certificate of incorporation, and basic questions like, what's your entity, what you are trying to solve, what problem statement are you going to approach for. All these are the basic questions which they ask for, and they'll get you the registration. This registration will be for, you'll get this registration within 3 days of time once you make an application. But this will not be eligible for taxation benefits. For the purpose of taxation benefits, we need to get into the second level of registration. The second level of registration is interministerial board. So once we get the first level, DPIIT level, which will take just 3 days of time to get the registration, second level application should be made. And in that second level application, they will ask a more elaborative idea about your idea, and sometimes they might call you physically to explore, to understand more in more detail what exactly it is. Interministerial board is some board which is set up by the government with three prominent people from the industry. Those three people will keep meeting every month, and they will select 1 or 2 startups every month for providing the tax benefits and all. So that is what I wanted to make it clear. First registration is just for getting into the platform, is for availing all the resources around the particular platform. But second registration is only for the tax benefits. First registration, you cannot avail any sort of tax benefits, the tax holiday, etc., which we speak about. It is not for the first level registration. It is only for the second level registration. That is what I wanted to make it clear.
Right.
Have any questions?
Yeah, there are a few questions. So in fact, Philip Baby has clarified. So he says he has his company is registered as a private limited firm in November 2017, and he's looking for funds to scale up his startups, his startup, and scale up his service to wind energy consumers. Right. So I guess I could probably take this. So yes, Baby Philip, we've made a note of your query. So do stay tuned to our webinar series where we will be talking about fundraising and avenues of fundraising for startups. So, but for now, with regards to Startup India, yes, there are avenues for fundraising, and Harsha would be happy to clarify that at the end of this webinar.
Yes.
Right.
So
And
we'll be touching upon the fundraising aspect too. As a part of benefits of this particular Startup India registration, we'll be elaborating more on the fundraising avenues on Startup India.
right. And we have a question. We have a question out here from Mr. Gopalakrishnan. He says, "What is the incentive or financial support available for startup which are small scale solar developers?"
Okay, so specifically as such, not financial incentives. As I said, financial incentives will be in terms of like funding, which I will be clarifying, like how the funds will come or which investor will be interested in funding these startups and all. But apart from that, the incentives will be in terms of the, ecosystem which they provide. That is what I can say. So they provide proper connectivity to the software developers. They provide proper connectivity to the mentors. They
Right.
provide proper connectivity to the investors. But with regard to financial assistance, yes, we will touch upon that particular aspect. I know that many entrepreneurs will be interested in that aspect when compared to the registration criteria and all. Yes, I agree on that.
Right. So in fact, there is a follow-up question from Mr. Raghavendra who had mentioned about the LLP previously. He says he has a proprietorship company that was started in 2016. He tried to register and start under Startup India, and there's no option for choosing proprietor.
Yeah.
So how does he go? How does he go about this?
So then either you have to formulate a firm. I mean, for proprietorships, it is possible only through OPC route. If you want to go alone, you can incorporate an OPC and then you can register under the Startup India. Or the other option is you can if you want to join with someone else as a partnership firm, because OPC compliance might be little higher. I mean, compliance cost might be little higher. If you want to join with someone else to form a partnership firm, with that partnership firm also you can go and get registered under Startup India.
Right. And we have another question from Mr. Vinod. He says, is GST registration mandatory for startups?
No, GST registration is not mandatory for startups. The GST registration criteria will continue to exist separately, 20 lakhs, 40 lakhs and all. But for registering under Startup India, GST registration is not mandatory.
And there's another follow-up question from Mr. Gopalakrishnan. He says, is a small-scale developer considered a startup?
Small-scale developer in the sense? I mean, like you are developing a product or something?
Yep. He talks about small-scale solar developers. So it's got something to do
any
with solar
business.
energy.
Any business. There is no specific restriction to a particular business. Any business is considered to be a startup. As long as you incorporate it after April 1st, 2016, you can go and get freely registered under Startup India.
Yep. And we've got a request from Ravi Teja Gupta saying if we could send the link of Startup India scheme and send the link for level 2 Startup India. Yes, we would be doing this post the webinar.
Post this webinar, within 3 hours, you'll be receiving a deck which explains which explains the summary of this particular webinar. Also, it provides you the links to, you can click on that particular link and you can go and get registered for the second level too.
Right. So as we keep getting questions, so let us probably move forward with regards to this webinar.
Yeah.
So we spoke about the eligibility criteria, but there are something that are like do's and don'ts when it comes to registering in Startup India. So if you could throw more light onto this, Mr. Harsha, that'd be really great.
So the do's and don'ts are very simple. See, whatever during the registration process, we will elaborate the business nature in a detailed way. Like for example, they will ask us what is your idea, what is your experience, what is your past achievement, all these things. Don't restrict yourself to 2 to 3 lines. Elaborate it in detail, because that will become a profile for your entity on the Startup India portal. So whenever tomorrow an investor or an incubator or somebody else is looking into startups, so they'll filter usually based on the industry. For example, if I am an investor, I'll have certain preferences. I'll always go and invest only into software industry, or I'll always go and support only the medical industry. So I'll filter based on the industry type, and I'll see which are all the startups which are there under that particular criteria. So I would like to say, always elaborate during your registration process, whatever the contents which you put as a part of explaining your business, be more elaborative there, and then be more interesting. I mean, it should be more interesting, marketing oriented terminology should be used over there. That is what I would say as a part of registration. Number 2, certain entities are not eligible for registering under Startup India. Entities which got demerged or merged and then formulated a new entity. See, there is a condition I said to you, right? Like only for 10 years right from the date of incorporation, you can be a startup. For example, now Vodafone and then Idea are there. Vodafone was a separate entity, Idea was a separate entity. Both of them together, they got merged and they formulated Vodafone India Limited. Now that Vodafone India Limited cannot go and get registered for Startup India because already Vodafone was more than 10 years old, Idea was more than 10 years old. Together, they cannot become a startup. Even though they formulated a new entity which is very recently incorporated, still they cannot go and register for Startup India because it should be a new entity altogether. It should not be out of merger or a demerger. So that is one particular criteria which is there. Yeah. So then moving forward, let us touch upon the benefits now. So what are the benefits under the Startup India registration? So benefits I'll classify into two categories. One is taxation benefits, other one is non-tax benefits. Let me come to taxation benefits. Taxation benefits, primarily there are three taxation benefits. So the three taxation benefits, the one taxation benefit is angel tax. So you can get exemption under angel tax when you get registered under Startup India and file one declaration. Let me explain this more. What is angel tax altogether? So I am a startup. I started my business. Now I am looking for funding. There is one investor who is ready to invest in my startup. But I said, I will not be giving my share at 10 rupees, the face value at which I registered, 10 rupees. My each share will be costing some 1,000, 2,000, depending on your valuation. My each share will be valued at a higher value. Income tax says, whenever you get the funds in premium for each share worth, which is like face value worth 10 rupees, if you get 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees, the excess whatever you received will be taxable at 30%, provided you don't get a valuation report from merchant banker. And even if you get a valuation report from merchant banker, many times income tax authorities question this particular premium. For that particular reason, to ease out this startup, to make it easy for startups to raise the investment, when you raise with premium, no problem, go and get registered for Startup India, provide a declaration over there. On the website itself, a declaration form will be available. The link also we will share it after this webinar. Provide a declaration saying that I am not investing the money which I raised through investment in prohibited assets. Once you give this declaration, you are eligible to take that particular amount without any additional questions on the valuation. You need not even get the valuation report. You can directly go and raise the funds in premium. In premium share issue can be done without any valuation report and all. That's the biggest advantage which I believe. The second advantage is for second level registered startups. The first advantage is for all, like whether it is DIPP level or like whether it is interministerial board level. The advantage of angel tax is applicable for all. Whereas second advantage is where 3 years tax holiday period. What do you mean by 3 years tax holiday period? Now, as I said, a company can be called as a startup for 10 years right from the date of incorporation. Out of those 10 years, any 3 years, they can choose not to pay income tax. Any 3 consecutive years. For example, out of 10 years, probably most of the startups will make losses for the first 3 years. Then 4th, 5th, 6th, I can choose for not to pay income tax. So the tax benefit will be completely, income tax will be completely avoided. Not GST, only income tax. Income tax will be completely avoided. Provided, we have to be careful on one particular part over here. This is applicable only for the, startups which are recognized by the interministerial board. This is not for first level startups. This is only for the interministerial board level startups. Third benefit of taxation which is available is in terms of capital gain. So most of the startups which are being formulated are by selling some property. Most of the people are selling some property and then investing that money back into the startups. So for that reason, government said, at any time, if you sell a residential plot, residential land or residential house, and put that consideration into an eligible startup. Eligible startup in the sense, again, interministerial board startup, but not the DIPP level startup. In a way, DIPP level, you don't get any tax benefits. Only interministerial board, you'll get the tax benefit. So if you sell a residential land, and then if you invest it into, residential land or residential house, invest it into the interministerial board registered startup, you can gain capital gain exemption too. That's what with respect to tax benefits. 3 tax benefits. One is angel tax. The other one is 3-year tax holiday period. The third one is capital gain benefit. But over here, second and third benefit is available only for interministerial board level. First benefit is available for everybody. Angel tax level benefit is available for all the startups, irrespective of interministerial board certification.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So if we can, as we recapitulate on this particular segment of this webinar, if you can probably list down the levels that are present in Startup India, that'll be really great.
Yeah.
And we can also have this given as a handout post this session.
Yes, the levels are 2 levels. As I said, like DIPP level is 1 level and then interministerial board is 1 level. So getting into DIPP level is not at all difficult. You can just go to the website and register for yourself. Within 3 days, you'll receive the approval. But getting into the interministerial board is a challenge. What I believe is hardly, very, very old economic times report, hardly 1 year back I read, 1 to 2 years back, which I read, where I read, hardly 100 to 200 startups are approved by the interministerial board level, not more than that.
Right.
Maybe the number might have increased a little now, but not more than that. Apart from that, I would like to elaborate on other benefits. See, taxation benefits are always there. Apart from that, the other benefits. Many of you have already raised questions regarding funding. So this is one particular important benefit. which is there for startups. So once you get registered into the Startup India website, so you'll get access to that platform where you can search for investors. So investors profile will be available where it will say this investor is interested in investing which kind of startups. So you can touch base with the investor through that particular portal too. Number two, many challenges are being organized on the startup portal. So any big companies, let it be TVS, let it be Hyundai, let it be any company as for that matter, if they have a particular problem, recently Defense Department also came up with a challenge. So if they have a particular problem, they are posting that particular challenge on the Startup India portal and they're asking the young entrepreneurs to solve it. Any person who solves that problem, they'll be funding that particular startup to develop that solution. Recently, I have an experience of dealing with one of the startups which participated in defense challenge where they developed bulletproof artificially intelligent bulletproof jackets. So that particular idea was funded by the defense department now. So in that way, many challenges will keep being organized. So with respect to your industry, keep on tracking the challenges which are being organized. If you think that you can provide the right solution to them, approach immediately, and then you'll be eligible for getting the funds out of that particular winners for that particular challenges. That is one other benefit which is there for startups over there. Then the third benefit is, I would say there are multiple free resources which are provided on the startup portal. So multiple free resources with respect to legal documentation, multiple free resources with respect to business mentor, business guidance, management guidance, multiple free resources with respect to softwares. For example, you don't believe AWS provides, Amazon Web Services provides 1 year free subscription for the startups, and Zoho provides 1 year free subscription for the startups. Vakilsearch, we provide legal documentation for free on the startups, Startup India portal. So all these free resources can be utilized, and then in the initial stages, a startup should not be spending too much of money onto these kind of resources. So getting benefit out of those resources will definitely help them to save some amount of money and to focus on the main business part. So this way, these are the main other benefits of the Startup India portal. That is how I can explain.
Right. So as we move on, there are a couple of other questions. Since we've said benefits, there's another follow-up question from Mr. Raghavendra.
Okay.
He says, are there any benefits if I choose a woman or if I choose women as a partner?
Yeah.
So are there any benefits under the special Stand-Up India scheme?
Sure. Actually, under Startup India, whether women is there or women are not there, even still the benefits will be there. But apart from that, you can go to the Startup India portal. There is something called as women entrepreneurship specifically. If you are a woman and then if you are solving that particular kind of problems, you will be additionally funded. And apart from that, in the same Startup India portal, state-specific schemes are there. In many states are having a separate scheme for women. In the same Startup India portal, you can go and then see state-specific startup schemes. Karnataka government has a specific scheme for women, and then many governments. I frequently touch base with Karnataka, so that's why I'm explaining Karnataka. But there are many other governments which are launching specific schemes for the women too. But apart from that, yes, Stand-Up India is always available. Stand-Up India, if the woman is holding 51% ownership, you can avail a loan from 10 lakhs to 1 crore. That benefit is always there.
Right. So there's another question from Mr. Vinod. He says, thank you for answering the GST question. But GST registration is mandatory to start an e-commerce business. So can I send an invoice to a customer without the GST part?
Okay,
if that is an e-commerce business.
Yeah. So let me say, out of the box question, but let me answer you. The thing is, GST registration is mandatory for e-commerce business, provided you are a platform, you are an aggregator. If you are selling your own goods, then GST registration is not mandatory. But if you are becoming a platform for others to sell, then GST registration is mandatory over there. And apart from that, let me say you one thing. Even if you are selling on your own website, for example, Domino's sells only its products on its website. Domino's should get registered under GST if it is selling for outside the state. If it is selling within the state, then the turnover limit, 20 lakhs, 40 lakhs limit will be applicable for you. If you are selling outside the state, then you should get mandatorily registered. So that's how I can answer your question. But anyway, yeah.
Right. So as we speak about funding, the funding avenues for startups under Startup India, so there's another question from Mr. Gopalakrishnan. He says banks are denying loans for startups starting, and that you don't have, stating that you don't have a track record. So come with 3 financial statements with profit.
Sure.
So how do we handle this?
See, that's true. Actually, Startup India funding wise, it is not so great successful, except with the angel investors and the venture capitalists. Banking related funding is not that great. But anyway, for him, I would suggest one thing. There is something called as Mudra Scheme. There is it's part of not part of Startup India, but yes, it is for the purpose of startups. There is something called as Mudra Scheme, where you can avail a maximum loan of only 10 lakhs. Maximum loan of 10 lakhs, but without collateral. So that's the additional advantage. And apart from this, government also launched something called as 59-minute MSME loan. So if you have at least 1 year track record of filing the GST returns, 1 year is minimum which is required for sure. 1 year track record of filing all the GST returns, you can apply on the GST portal itself for this 59-minute MSME loan. So that is one benefit which is available over there. You can avail these benefits. But on the Startup India portal, as such, directly there is no funding through banking channel. But 3 year projections and all, yes, it's a document which is mandatorily required for the bank. We cannot hold on that particular thing. But it is not a big problem. You approach any chartered accountant, even you can approach us too. So we can, we can provide you 3 year banking projections in a day or two. It will not be too costly too. We can provide you the documentation support. That will not be a problem at all.
That's great. That's interesting. So it's indeed intriguing to get to know the various schemes under Startup India. So this is a general question that that hit my head some time back as we look at the economy, as we talk about finance ministry coming up with huge statements, coming up with huge reforms and all that. So would it be ideal to out of your experience, would it be ideal to get set or get going with the startup and then registering under a Startup India scheme right now, or is there any timeline with which a company can register?
Yeah, so definitely I would say all startups which are being incorporated now should definitely go and get registered under Startup India. Why I say this now? For one main reason, there is no fees involved, and the second main reason, once you get registered, there are so many benefits. Why do you want to lose those benefits? Without registering under it. And the other biggest benefit, actually I forgot to cover. The other biggest benefit is in India, one of the challenging laws to comply with are labor laws. There is something called as PF, there is something called as ESA, there is something called as professional tax, there is something called as gratuity. All these are various laws which are applicable. And once you get registered under any one act, if I get registered under PF or ESA or any act, there will be inspection coming from that particular department, which will be very challenging for a startup to handle it. They'll ask n number of registers, they'll ask n number of disclosures on the notice boards. All these are very difficult for a startup to handle. So for that reason, the Startup India has provided additional benefits, saying that if any entity is registered for Startup India, then for 1 year there won't be any inspection from any department except GST. There won't be any inspection from any department. Any labor department will not come to you and will not touch upon you at all. So that's the biggest benefit. It doesn't mean that you should not comply with the labor laws. You should comply within that 1 year. You should also contribute for PF. You should also contribute for ESI. But only thing is, whatever you declare, they will accept it. There won't be any inspection as such. And the other benefit is they launched a single window clearance scheme. Now MCA has for example, earlier a company registration can happen in these steps. First, I should get registered my company. Then I should go and apply for PAN card. Then I should go and apply for TAN card. Then I should go and apply for GST. But now, under single window clearance scheme, which is pushed by Startup India itself, we can get all the 4 registrations through one single application. We can register a company, we can get a GST registration, we can get PAN, TAN, and everything at one go. So that is one other benefit which they launched, very recently. So all these are good initiatives and good way to move forward. But yes, in terms of ease of doing business, Startup India is a great success. I'll wait for any other questions which you people have.
Right. So, and in fact, there were a few queries pertaining to Vakilsearch, helping them register. Yes, we do help you register with Startup India. This one is from Mr. Harish BJ, and it's indeed surprising he's already availed services from Vakilsearch. Thank you so much for showing support, Mr. Harish. Yes, we do support in registering in Startup India for all the. We do help SMEs and MSMEs register in Startup India. There's another question. It says, this is from Ms. Monica. The question is, how can a startup avail benefits under India Global Partnerships?
I'm not sure of India Global Partnerships. Maybe, because I told you, right, in the guide which we're going to provide, we'll provide you a link where industry-specific initiatives as well as state-specific initiatives, everything will be available over there. Maybe one particular partnership might be there, so we have to look upon it. I'm covering the provisional or intention part of it, but yes, state-specific initiatives will again be there, or venture capitalist-specific initiatives will again be there, which you have to look upon in detail.
Right. So as we talk about Startup India, it's indeed an interesting, viewpoint where we see startups. So where we see startups in India or startups out of Indian origin being, established. So in that viewpoint, I see this interesting promotion made by Startup India where we could incorporate or where we where it promotes ease of doing business outside of India. So what would be your take on that, Mr. Harsha?
Yes. So one other aspect for Startup India portal is, so they are providing mentorship on like explaining details of what are the customs procedures to export certain products, or how do you connect with the global customers. So they provide a platform for that too. Apart from that, apart from expansion to global level, the other benefit is you can sell your products and services to government entities. So they have created a separate dedicated platform for the small entrepreneurs to sell their products to government. Government needs stationery, government needs so many, like construction services, government needs maintenance services. All these services are required for the government to do. They need to manage, government needs to manage their employees, so they need softwares for that. So for all these things, you can you can see the requirements posted by the various departments of the government, and you can reply back to them with your idea or with your product, with your service. So you can approach the government too very easily. So earlier it used to be very difficult for small enterprises to approach the government and provide the benefits, but provide their services. But today through Startup India, there is a separate dedicated platform to and that too, there is no cost, there is no additional cost or additional margin money which we need to pay. Usually when we file a tender to the government, we have to make earnest money deposit, security deposit, but here it is not required. If you are a startup registered under Startup India scheme, then there is no additional security deposit which you need to pay when we are making a tender to the government. So that's another benefit which there is.
Right. So I have another question. This is coming out of my personal experience and my personal front. So what if I am a startup that is incorporated elsewhere, but I would like to start my startup subsidiary in India?
Okay.
So we've heard of these the concepts of certain startups going global at the very beginning.
See, for now, 100% foreign subsidiary is not eligible for registering under Startup India. So the Startup India is ideally for the people who are young entrepreneurs starting out of India. So if you are a 100% foreign funded company, 100% subsidiary of foreign company, you cannot register under Startup India.
So would that be on account of me being an entrepreneur out of Indian origin, but I don't stay in India anymore?
Yeah, if you don't stay in India also it is fine, but you have to incorporate the company directly in India and you have to be the shareholder, but you cannot invest the foreign money 100% into Indian startup. So that's one particular condition. Yeah.
Right. Because this has been a case with a couple of my known resources where they've tried registering their company. They've had investors from abroad.
Yeah. So investors from abroad is okay. I mean, investors of 35%, 40%, 45% is okay, but they should not be having controlling stake.
So is there any cap on the percentage?
51%. Controlling stake should not be there for them.
Right. So we have another interesting question from Ms. Anuradha. She says, we're already incorporated. We want to register in Startup India. What is the procedure?
Okay, so you can go to the Startup India website. So there will be something called as, in the Startup India website, we'll provide you the exact link to. Under the Startup India website, there will be first application, DAPP level registration. So that application you have to fill in and then submit. There will be certain mandatory documents like PAN, company incorporation certificate, which you need to attach there. And then once you submit that application, you'll get the registration.
Right. So if you can throw more light on to the expansions that Startup India has, because recently we've noticed Startup India has launched a joint initiative with the government of UK. So are there any other partner countries or partner governments with which Startup India does this?
Correct. Actually, Startup India has become global now. The solutions which our entrepreneurs are providing to the government. In fact, one of the solutions is like GST refinement. So the new GST portal is going to be the new GST portal is an outcome of one particular challenge which was posted on the Startup India. Very soon, from April, new GST portal will come. In the same way, recently Australian government, they posted on the Startup India to solve one problem relating to education. So they posted, how to take education to masses. So there are certain conditions which they have given. So to that challenge, if you provide a solution, they will provide the funding. In the same way, they have tied up with multiple startups across the globe. Startup schemes across the globe. There will be similar schemes across the globe, right? So with the same kind of setup, they are trying to connect Indian startups with those people too. So, but challenges are very interesting. Actually, I would always go to the Startup India portal only for that particular reason, to see what challenges are there with respect to my business and how can I provide solutions to that.
Right. So we have a question from Rajesh Saraf, who says, all DIPP recognized companies, do they need to fill Form 881AC? Is it enough to get certification for income tax exemption?
No. So all DIPP registered startups, they have to fill in that IAC. That is what is Interministerial Board level certification. So once you fill in that, then at the point of time, it will take some amount of time. They might call you personally too. Then only you can avail the income tax benefits. With the DIPP level certificate, which we can just download from the website, you cannot avail the tax benefits. Yes, you have to fill that form, and you have to wait for their comments, is it directly rejected or any reasons being shown. So you have to wait their comments for sure.
Right. So we have another lengthy query, which is a follow-up from Mr. Raghavendra.
Okay.
He says, I am a social entrepreneur, and most of our services address the social economic concern. And are there any tax benefits for social entrepreneurship? And I'd also applied for angel tax benefit, and I received an email from the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, and I read with the notification number SO1311,
Yes.
dated 5th of March.
Correct.
It says it stated that the provisions of the clause of subsection 2 of section 56 of the Income Tax Act shall not apply.
Yes. So that's what I mean. You filed that after getting the DAPP registration, you filed for angel tax exemption. So that email confirms saying that you are eligible for angel tax exemption. You can go and raise the investment at premium value.
No, but it says it shall not apply.
That section will not apply. Section 56 will not apply. Section 56 says tax will be, 30% tax will be applicable on the premium. That section will not apply for your startup.
Right,
That's
right.
And apart from that, I would also like to, he said initially he was a social entrepreneur, right? So, yes, investors or interested in investing into social enterprises are also available on the Startup India. And apart from that, if you are thinking to establish completely social enterprise without profit objective, incorporate a Section 8 company, then at that point of time, you can get the income tax benefits. Apart from getting the income tax benefits for your Section 8 company, you can also get the benefits. You can also provide the tax benefits for the people who are donating the money for your social cause. So that will also be available. I would suggest a Section 8 company for you.
Right. As we move on, we have another question from Mr. Gaurav. He says, what are the extra benefits with companies and that have government tenders?
Government tenders. So that's what I mean. Government tenders. See, the thing is, it is easy to. It used to be very difficult for us to approach to the government department and advertise our products or services. Now through startup, you can list out your products and services, or if government is posting a particular tender saying that these products and services are required, you can post your pictures and then you can post your tender. You can make your application over there, and you'll be able to get benefit out of it. So you can sell the products to the government. So that's what I would say.
Right, indeed, it's interesting. As we have a lot of questions pooling in, I'm afraid there is a bit of a time constraint as well.
Yeah.
So let's throw the board open to the next 3 questions that come in. And in the meanwhile, if you can highlight the other benefits apart from the tax benefits, apart from the investment benefits that we've quoted, or apart from the special subsidiaries, would there be any other benefits that I can avail from Startup India?
So the other benefit is now they are providing concessional fees for patent registration. For example, patent and trademark. So to protect your intellectual property, you need to get registered. So Intellectual Property India websites will usually charge a particular fees. It differs depending on trademark or copyright, in which segment patent are you applying, depending on what kind of application, they'll charge a certain fees. Now there is an exemption. And interestingly, this Karnataka government launched one more scheme very recently where they said, once you make a patent application, a world-class patent application, there are certain criteria, they will reimburse the patent cost too. So that's one interesting, really interesting scheme which they brought it. So in that way, copyright, intellectual property protection benefits will also be there through Startup India scheme.
Right, as we see a lot of questions popping in, and owing to time constraint, we would have to cut short. However, I would recommend all the attendees to drop their queries on the discussion section on the GlobalLinker platform, and we'll make sure we'll answer each and every query that you've
we'll answer each and every query.
And besides, your individual queries are also being made note of, and we assure you that they will be answered to you separately, and you'll be getting your answer separately via email. With this, we would have to call it a day off in the first webinar of this series. So we would be happy to follow up with additional benefits and funding related.
I would also say, if you need any topic to be covered in the next webinar, if you have any topic, so you can post us that particular topic. So if many people are requesting on the same topic, we will bring out the webinar on that particular topic. So it will be useful for everybody.
Definitely. And thank you so much, one and all, for joining. And probably we can take one last question from Ms. Anuradha.
Yeah.
So one last question that says, a partnership firm is run by 4 women partners. Do we have any special benefits?
Yeah, you can get registered under Stand-Up India scheme. More than 51% if it is being held by women, then at the time 10 lakhs to 1 crore loan can be availed under the Stand-Up India scheme. So Stand-Up India website provides you the links for connecting to the banks directly.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Harsha, and I hope Ms. Anuradha, your queries have been addressed. We'd definitely be happy to answer
Answer all
your
your
questions
questions.
more in with more detail, giving more details and giving you more information. We'd recommend you to post your queries on the discussion section again on the Global Linker platform. With this, we look forward to meeting you in the next set of webinars. The next webinar, which is going to happen very soon, the dates will be disclosed. You'll be receiving a notification. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Good
Thank you
day.
very
Bye
much.
bye.